Greetings, fellow traditionalist Catholics. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. So, in this next video of my series on the calls for new crusades, the question here is this: could all of Western civilization, including the United States, become the next Constantinople? As we all know, in 1453, the Islamic Empire, the Ottoman Empire, conquered the capital of the Eastern Orthodox Church, Constantinople, which is the capital of the Byzantine Empire, which is actually the Eastern Roman Empire that was conquered by the Ottomans in 1453, which later, soon after its fall, became the capital of the Ottoman Empire, becoming Istanbul, which is known to this day as the capital of Turkey. So the question here is this: again, could Western civilization in Europe and the United States, especially the entire world itself, become the next Constantinople? As we have seen just about everywhere, you won't see this on mainstream news channels like Fox News, Newsmax, or even CNN, but on social media, which is where it's being reported the most on social media platforms, that we are at a point right now that the West, and including the rest of the world, could be conquered by the satanic pagan forces of Islam. And it could possibly happen. So as I had just said, Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, which is the Eastern Roman Empire, fell in 1453. When that happened, during the pontificate of Pope Nicholas V, he had called for a crusade in order to recapture Constantinople. But within a couple of years, Nicholas V died and was later succeeded by Cardinal Alfonso Borgia, who became Pope Calixtus III. Who, by the way, some of you probably do not know that Calixtus III, real name Alfonso Borgia, is the uncle to Rodrigo Borgia, who became the notorious Pope Alexander VI, who carried out Nicholas V's mission to call for a crusade. That's basically been Calixtus III's pontificate the whole time. The whole time is to call for a crusade, but didn't get back Constantinople. In fact, the city of Belgrade, which is now part of modern-day Serbia, was defended by the Hungarian Captain General. I have it on my phone. Let me pull it up. Let me see. Pontificate. Okay, it was defended by the Hungarian Captain General John Hunyadi, a Hungarian Captain General that defended Belgrade from the Ottoman Turks in 1456. So the church never got back Constantinople, but they kept one town intact, since Constantinople would have been the gateway to the rest of Europe. And we have seen from previous conflicts through the course of history that the Ottoman Empire, time and time again, tried to conquer Europe as a way to end Christianity and put Europe and the rest of the world under the rule of Islam. And one case, however, there's another one. Let me look it up. This was under Pope St. Pius V. So, okay, under the pontificate of Pope Saint Pius V in the late 16th century, he was he's the one that formed a military league called the Holy League, a Catholic military, was to go against the Ottoman Empire. And one of the most well-known battles was, I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry. I always have a hard time trying to remember a well-known battle that almost put Europe uh, under the control of the Ottoman forces. Trying to remember. I'm sorry. So under one battle, I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. Under the pontificate of Pope Saint Pius V, which we had there was one conflict in particular that almost brought Europe down to its knees and almost conquered by the Ottoman Empire until a divine intervention by Our Lady of Victory, an apparition of the Blessed Mother, Blessed Virgin herself, came and said that, well, not said, well, all I know is that, okay, remember, all I know is that an apparition of the Blessed Mother, of the Blessed Virgin came to Pius V, and that Europe would be saved. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. Battle of Lepanto. The Battle of Lepanto that happened in 1571. That so the Battle of Lepanto that almost brought Europe down in 1571 during the pontificate of Pius V. I'm sorry for having to look up and acting slow and trying to find this familiar battle. I always forget some things. So that was one battle that almost brought Europe down, as I have said. And we have seen time and time again the Ottoman Empire coming in within close range of nearly conquering Europe. Constantinople was one victory that the Ottomans had, and that was what really freaked Europe out the most, knowing that there was a possibility that the Ottomans could conquer Europe. Lepant- Lepanto was really close. Was one battle that came close to having Europe almost conquered. So again, could West, including the United States, be the next Constantinople? And I think we're already at that point right now that it can happen. And we're already seeing it. As I have said, uh, cable news networks won't mention it, but social media outlets have already talked about it the most, and it's becoming a big problem. So that's why part of this series calls for the new Crusades. And the answer is we do need to protect the whole world, including the West, from a possible um, invasion and conquering of the West by Islam. That is a problem. And we have already seen a lot of problems with mass migration in Europe coming from the Middle East and other Muslim countries in parts of Africa that are just going into Europe, Italy, France, Germany, Sweden, and of course the United Kingdom. That is like the biggest problem, and no one has even bothered to even no one has even bothered to call it out or even talk about it, etc. And the way I've been seeing right now, England is like become the worst place where it's becoming a huge problem, and its government is just out of control. Instead of it having to deport these people back home to where they came from, they've been locking up their own people over social media posts, anti-immigration posts that ridiculously offend Muslims. Not only that, what's also ridiculous, I have to believe this myself, that the English government, especially the English police, are persecuting Christians just for going out into the streets and preaching the Bible, in which people can get up to 2 years in a British prison by breach of peace just for preaching the Bible. Not only that, if I remember this correctly, even people wearing Christian jewelry like a cross around their neck, that's also considered an offense. Just for because you're wearing jewelry with a cross on it, which may offend Muslims, which is ridiculous. So we're locking people up over social media posts, anti-immigration posts, or even if you tell like a joke, whatever on social media, or even posting a meme of whatever, could land you in prison. Which the English government says it's an offense, not just those, just typical native British people in the UK, but people from across the world that are in England, that they find it offensive towards Muslims, which is ridiculous. This is tyranny. Even the current prime minister, Keir Starmer, no doubt is a communist, and he's turned England to, uh, well, I've never read the book 1984 by George Orwell, but it's already turned into an Orwellian like state already. Big Brother, abuse of power with the use of police, all of that, ridiculous imprisonments over social media posts, and it's just getting out of hand. And it's already at the point that the UK could fall, but a lot of people say it has fallen because of its mass migration. And another thing I just recently saw hours ago, this was um, middle of the night while I was still scrolling through my phone, that the flag of Pakistan was flying on the rooftop of no I forget which English cathedral, Manchester. I forget which cathedral in London, Manchester Cathedral. I forget, but you had a Pakistani flag flying on the top of that cathedral, and I don't know why. Who would do that? That's the biggest, scariest part right now. And right now, we do need to have a crusade to fight back for our civilization, our way of life. Now, let's turn to the United States because just a few weeks ago, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, or by its acronym, the FBI, foiled a possible terrorist attack in Dearborn, Michigan, which was an ISIS-style attack by bombings. And here's the thing: this is scary. 60% of Dearborn, Michigan, that city, is really become a radical Muslim town. It has taken over most of that city, and it's become a huge Muslim population. The mayor itself is Muslim. The city council, large number of them are Muslim. Even the chief of police is Muslim. So when you have Christians in that town that are like not happy that um, Muslim prayers are going off like past 5 in the morning, like really loud over the speakers, and they're complaining to the mayor that they don't like this and it's becoming a nuisance. And what does the mayor tell these people without even apologizing? He calls Christians, native American-born citizens, Islamic phobic. Let me point something out here. There is no such thing as Islamophobia, nor is there uh, nor is there people known as that are called Islamophobic. Islamophobia is a made-up term. People who practice the pagan faith of Islam, they invented that word. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. Number one, Islam is a false religion. It's a satanic pagan religion. Number two, it is that word was just invented to shame people because they're Muslim and the stuff they do is out of control, and to purposely shut down debate, in which these people do not want to acknowledge the truth of what they do and what they practice and what they preach. And we are seeing a humongous problem. We are seeing radical Islamists, especially in the city of New York City, which recently on the 4th of November of 2025, elections were held in some parts of the United States, especially here in my state, California, in which the city of New York elected its first Muslim mayor, who happens to be a socialist. That's a scary thing. So not only New York City will be under socialist rule, but what's really going to be scary, there is no doubt, the first indication of Islam being imposed on that city. And another thing is, we have, without the news even mentioning what's going on in New York City, you've got thousands of Muslims. I've seen this on Instagram. I've seen it on Twitter. You got people in New York City, radical Islamists, thousands in Times Square. They are at this point that they promise to turn the United States into an Islamic hellhole and then force Islam down our throats. And they even promise to put all Islam even in homes. That means those that don't practice Islam, they'll force it down our throats, even if we don't want to. Even if we don't want to convert to that pagan faith, but they'll do it anyway to force us to and have to be forced to live with it. And as even without even the media even mentioning this, you've got people even saying that they demand Sharia law in the United States, which is already banned under the United States Constitution. Because I honestly I forget which article within the United States you cannot uh, transform the constitutional republic of the United States into a different form of government, like a monarchy. But they want to but these people want to impose a religious law down the throats of the American people. And they even said if they don't put Sharia law on the ballot on every election, they said they'll do it with via bullets. That means they are threatening to kill if they don't get their way. That is a threat right there. And I can't believe the feds are not even investigating this, which is a really scary thing. Now, as I said about the new mayor of New York City, well, the mayor-elect, Zoran Mandani, I mean, he's already proof already how much of a radical he is. And we know already he, ever since, even before in post October 7th, he has been on anti-Israel rants. We know for a fact he hates Israel and he's sympathetic towards uh, terrorist groups. And not only that, here's another thing which I find to be assaulting. I mean, not assaulting, insulting. 24 years after what happened on September 11th, 2001, he sees the 9/11 memorial as nothing. He sees nothing more as a hit list because people of his faith did this to our people, did this to innocent Americans that did not deserve to die. He just sees it as a somewhat hit list perpetrated by people of his religion, a false religion, insulting those that died for no reason. So he's protecting those that committed these horrific attacks. and by next year we're already marking 25 years uh, of what happened on that horrific day, and I have no doubt right now that he's going to make some further insulting remarks. So that tells you that he's sympathetic towards terrorists. And not only that, he's already proven to be anti-police and anti-law and order because he's already admitted to defunding the police, which was his campaign promise. And after an NYPD officer was killed sometime a few months ago, when asked about his remarks about defunding the police, he like goes in total denial, saying, "I never said that." Which, by the way, there are tweets he put out on Twitter going back to 2020 calling for the police to be defunded, and he's called them names like racist and other things like that. And right now, you've got the commissioner of the New York Fire Department resigning. Well, here's the thing: the NYFD fire commissioner is Jewish, and from what he already knows about Zoran Mandani, he is like stepping down and getting away from him. Not only that, when it comes to the police, you even have the president of the police union in Houston, Texas, is saying that we're open to having NYPD officers come to Texas and join our force. So everything's already backfiring on Mondani. Now, let's turn to the next thing. That would be the state of Minnesota, which has really become a hotbed of, no doubt, of Islamic terrorism. And here's the thing, just I think in the city of Minneapolis and probably across the state of Minnesota itself, you have um, people from Somali that were immigrated into the United States, that were brought into the United States by then President Barack Obama, and ended up being sent into that state because of the amount of piracy that's been taking place there, and its government is overrun by Somali pirates. And here's the thing, they are not assimilating into the American culture. They're not adopting the American way of life. All it is their ridiculous religion and their own culture, which they want to force down the throats of Americans that don't want this. And it's really becoming a problem because the November 4th elections that I just brought up, they almost elected a Somalian mayor. I forget his name, but he is of Somali origin. And without even showing his allegiance to the United States, he's flying the flag of his native homeland, Somali, which a lot of us believe that is an act of treason, that you're not showing your allegiance to this country of ours, but rather focus on your own homeland. And of course, he's a socialist himself, just like Mondani, and that's becoming a huge problem right now. And of course, the thing is, here's another thing. This was reported many years ago, when you have news reporters asking Muslims in that city and in Minneapolis, they ask, "Do you know anything about the United? Are you even? Do you know anything about the U.S. Constitution? Or are you even taught about the U.S. Constitution?" It's like, no, we only focus on Islam. That's a scary thing. Now, months ago, in the state of Texas, there was apparently there was like proposals for like a made up Muslim city. I forget what, but it was supposed to be taken in some like large piece of open land somewhere in Texas. That's, if I understand, that's under investigation, no doubt by the feds, or probably or even under the government of Texas, because of these people that want to propose building like a made up city there, which is like a Muslim only city. They had like no permits or nor authority to put to build stuff around that area. That's a scary thing right now, and it's becoming a problem. So we need to call for a crusade. We need to put an end to Islam, not just in Europe, but the United States. Not only just the West itself. We need have a world war crusade all over the world to put an end to Islam. It's becoming a problem, and we need to end it now because we could lose everything, in my opinion, within the next 10 or 30 years if we don't stop it. And right now, you know, right now we right now you got a lot of people that are you got a lot of people that are being hurt by these radicals. They think by their religion, they think they commit horrific crimes, even sex crimes on women and children. They think they can do whatever they want, like they're entitled by their own religion without any consequences. And you look at these European governments, they are not doing anything about it. They're not even sending them home. I think uh, the only leader so far is the Prime Minister of Italy, and she's already sent one person back home for making terroristic threats. Not only that, but is proposing to ban the use of burqas in Italy. The only Christian nation in Europe that has like no mass migration and recognizes Christ as the king is Poland, and I congratulate Poland for it. But the rest of the West has to wake up. Japan, as I have talked about before, they have allowed Muslim migrants into their country, and they've become a total nuisance. And as of right now, you've got the Japanese already having anti-immigration protests, and it's not just Muslim migrants; they uh, even bringing in people in from other parts of the world just to give them jobs, and they're not happy with it. Another country that's like I would say about 100% Muslim is Indonesia, and you don't know what could happen in that. Honestly, I don't know what could happen in that little nation, but you don't know what's going on there. But let Indonesia do what it wants, but as long as they don't come in any parts of the world, that's fine. But we we have to put an end to this, otherwise we fall, and we need a crusade. We need a crusade, otherwise the whole world becomes the next Constantinople. And if I were the Pope, I would have launched that crusade myself without hesitation and put an end to it. I would have rallied the faithful to join my crusade. And I would say this: I think between Catholics, whether you're a traditionalist Catholic or a Novus Ordo Catholic, we can put our differences aside, come together, and be part of the cause for a crusade. And I would even invite Eastern Orthodox Christians to be part of the crusade. As for Protestants in particular, I would not invite you to be part of a crusade because I know you've had your harsh criticisms on Catholicism in general, and I would not even want you to be part of the crusade. But if you want to be part of the crusade, you better convert to Catholicism because if I were Pope, I would have not allow you. And next thing, I would say we don't need permission from anti-Pope Leo the 14th because he's already proven to be soft and weak and a total coward. Just like with anti-Pope Francis, we saw him being a total softy with other faiths, thinking that all faiths will go to heaven, which is totally heretical. And we don't need Leo the 14th's permission. We can do it ourselves. We can take matters into our own hands, and we can fight this. And we need a crusade now before it's too late. Because like I've mentioned, what happened with Constantinople, and then uh, that one battle in the 1570s, that would be the Battle of Lepanto. And surprisingly, this happened on 7 October 1571, um, which is a surprise there because what happened on October 7th, 2023, which is when the terrorist group Hamas invaded Israel and started a war with them. Uh, I'm kind of surprised what I'm just learning right now. And lastly, as I mentioned in my first video calling for new crusades, not only do we need a World War crusade to put it into Islam, but we do need to get back the Holy Land. We need to get back Jerusalem. Otherwise, it's too late for the world, and we are like done. Not only will the West be in, not only will the West will come to the end, but the Church too, and we will lose Christianity altogether if we don't come together and fight this. And we need to act now because it's getting scary by the minute. And Leo the 14th, as I have said, he's too weak. We don't need his permission because like I said, if I were the Pope myself, I would have called for crusade right away without hesitation and put it into it. I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. We need to put it into Islam and do away with it now. And we need to stand up and fight and call and come together and call for a crusade ourselves. We can do this without Rome's permission because Leo won't do it. And we need to take matters into our own hands, as I have said, and call for a crusade ourselves. So, like I said, Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians, we can come together and we can put an end to this. But as for you Protestants out there, you want to join the fight, you better convert to Catholicism and traditional Catholicism, not the heretical Novus Ordo of Vatican II. Traditional Catholicism. And if not, stay out of it. We don't need you. Because Protestantism is just insanity. So tell me what you think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell beside it for future updates. And comment below and tell me what you think. Do you think we are at this point of becoming the next Constantinople? And do we need a new crusade? Because I sure believe we do need one now. So stay tuned for my very last video of this series calling for a new crusade. So this wraps it up for now. See you next time. Take care now. Bye.